for joining me today on our interview for Lifting Others. Would you like to share us with the rest of the world? Who is Leighanne and how did she get herself into the tourism industry?
Okay, well, it's been a long road. Been in the tourism industry since '84. So started out as you in the Holiday Inn sphere and work your way up as a trainee and then through the various departments. And then from there you travel overseas and you gain some overseas experience and then come back, and I've done quite a broad spectrum from lecturing at the hotel school to actually going into the IT industry and installing reservation software based mainly over Africa, which is actually where I met the person who we were about to speak about. And so installing software, and then from there went into marketing and now do marketing for a game lodge in the Sabi Sands, which is just absolutely fantastic. It's the best job ever. And then that's basically it.
Perfect. Thank you, Leighanne. You nominated Lou. Was there any specific reason why?
I think the first time I met Lou, it was Lou Rood and Ken Hermer that worked at Singita. And I'd actually also met them in the early days of when they were, it was called Conservation Corporation Africa, known as CCA, which has now become And Beyond. And, when I'd met them there, I just thought, one day when I grow up, I want to be like, Lou and Ken, because, if they don't know it in the hospitality industry, then it's not worth knowing. And, they were just phenomenal. And then Lou's just carried on the torch, and I just always looked up to him, and just his ethics, his work, his just everything about him, especially from the hospitality marketing sphere. It's everything you want to know and more.
That's nice. That's nice. Leighanne, was there any projects or initiatives that you worked with Lou that really inspired you and that made you feel more supportive of what he does?
I've never worked directly with them, but like when we installed the software at Singita, we spent a lot of time in their offices. So then you get to see the workings of the office, because when you're in the background in IT, you see how the whole office operates, and so you get to actually admire from afar and then just see how it all works. But I must say, one of the things I've always thought was amazing is that he was instrumental in bringing in that street smart, which you've got in Cape Town, which is really, really great. So basically anything you order off a menu, a percentage of that will go to help feeding the street children. So it's just really, really an amazing initiative. And especially when you see in Cape Town, I mean, the amount of homelessness, and that seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So definitely a bit of a problem there.
Amazing. Leighanne, I know that you're more of the marketing, you're the person that is behind the scenes making everything fit into the spaces. But would there be any initiatives that you would like to get involved in that in this case helps communities, especially in this time of COVID, and help them uplift or support them in a way that would help them achieve more in life?
Oh, no, definitely. With Inyati, the lodge that I work for, we've actually got a digital learning center, which is in Dumfries Village outside the reserve, which is where the majority of our staff live. So the first one started at near the Newington Gate in Lilydale. So it's a digital learning center. So literally it's a bridging academy. A lot of the guys will leave your matric, but they don't have the know-how when it comes to your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Word, etc. So it's actually quite a good bridging. So they can spend a year there, and then at least, once you do apply for varsity, etc., you've caught up on a lot of the technical sides that you won't have. We've got phenomenal sponsorships. I mean, even from Investec, and there's a lot of companies with all the iPads. And when we go to the center, it's incredible when you watch all these little kiddies arriving, the grade 7s, and all come in, grab their little iPads, and you think you come from a community where the parents don't even know how to operate a cell phone, and then all these little kiddies are busy, on the iPad, they're spelling and their mathematics. And then last year we thought, okay, this is going to be a serious problem because of COVID, and we were scared sponsorships were going to dry up. but we actually got through just under 400 learners last year. So it's all under the Good Work Foundation, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, and it's for free. So, you know, with our education, with all our sponsorships, etc., you know, you can get through 400 people. And we've also done a lot of online courses. So it's your educational courses, and it's mainly lodge related. So it's hospitality courses, game ranging courses, because that's what you know in that area. You know, anybody who works in the village, you'll be working with somebody who works at one of the lodges in different positions, etc. So it's really been an amazing initiative. And then we've just all signed up that, okay, we will definitely sponsor for the next 4 years. So, and then it's got to be sustainable so that you don't dry up, because you can't have this amazing school built and then you can't follow through. So it's got to be able to follow through. So in our area, to us, the most important thing is education. You know, it definitely is. You know, yes, we've got the other side of it, the rhino poaching and everything like that. But to us, you know, once with the education, it makes a much bigger difference.
That's amazing.
Not very articulate.
that is really amazing. The initiative that is it's based on education, and that is a lot of the needs in our community. Leighanne, I think my last question would be: do you have any positive motivation to give out to the world, to give out to those people that is not feeling so positive and motivated?
Oh, I tell you, at the moment we just all take one day at a time, and you know we all in the same shitstorm. We just all in different boats, so you know it's just different lengths and different varies. We will travel again. It will bounce back. I mean, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. So, but you know, definitely, we're already starting to see green shoots coming through. So I know it's such a cliched term, but if I look at our future bookings, and you know, you've already got your American market ready to travel because they've been vaccinated, and you know, our forward bookings for June, we've already got you know quite a bit of the internationals. So you know, you do actually get some hope coming in there that you see, okay, something's happening. It is happening out there.
Hi, Lou. Thank you so much for joining me today on our Lifting Others interview. You have been nominated, but firstly, I would like to know who is Lou Rood and how he got into the industry.
Thanks, Danielle. It's a great pleasure to be speaking to you, and I really appreciate it, and a pleasure to take part. My history is one that has always been from a young age. I decided there were no real tourism courses because I was interested in the tourism that I'm still in today after almost 50 years, whereby I basically promote and look after tourists coming to South and Southern Africa. So in other words, people coming into our region. So that's been my whole life. And I started school, and then a 6-month period of in-service training, which was in South Africa at a hotel which was then in existence called the Herengracht Hotel in Cape Town. And then for my second in-service, I was very fortunate. I got a bursary, a scholarship, and I was sent across to Amsterdam, where I did my training in a very beautiful 5-star hotel called the Amstel Hotel, very historic hotel. So essentially I went to hotel school, and my first job was in fact in Durban, where I worked for Sol Kersner. Now, Sol Kersner at that time had started his family in the hotel business before he, got internationally famous with hotels in Mauritius and all over the world, actually. I worked at the Leighanne Hotel, which was on the beachfront in Durban, and Sol Kersner was very much there. We had the 2 hotels, the Beverly Hills in Umhlanga Rocks, and then the Leighanne on North Beach. And I was there as front office manager. So I was never a chef. I'm afraid my cooking skills are not the best. So you wouldn't find me in the kitchen, but I had a fantastic time because I really loved and enjoyed it because I was dealing with a great many people. The hotel expanded corporation. It was known as Satura, and today I think it's just called SA Tourism. But they advertised, their head office was in Pretoria, and they advertised for staff in their overseas offices. And they had positions in their London office. And that involved me having to go to various interviews up in Pretoria. I was very fortunate. I spent about 6 months at the head office in Pretoria, and then I was sent across to London, where I spent a good number of years. And that was really an amazing time because the South African Tourist Office in London was in a beautiful building of its own on Piccadilly between Pall Mall and Piccadilly Circus. So we had our own building. We were on the ground floor. So you actually dealt with not only, in those days we had the telephone, we had the telex, we didn't have the internet and all of those good things, but we were very busy, and I was on the ground floor along with colleagues, and we each had a desk, and potential travelers to South Africa would come in, and we also had in the building we had a very lovely little theater, so we could show movies and all of those kind of things as well. So it really was a case of I got what I wanted because I could get the training, and that I got in the hotel business and hospitality. So that's where I learned to deal with people, local and foreign, and how to host people professionally. It was very important. The expectations were high because these hotels, as I say, were run by the Kerzner family, and they had very high expectations. So I was extremely fortunate. And then in London, I had a wonderful team of people that I worked with, and I also Satura looked after your accommodation. I was very lucky to be housed in a beautiful home in Kensington, off Kensington High Street. I loved my time in London. And then eventually, because of family circumstances, I could have stayed on. My life was destined to be back here doing what I love. And I came back from London, and having this experience of hospitality, the hotel business, dealing with foreign tourists, dealing with foreign business people, and also a lot of, I say, in those days we dealt with a lot of the rich and famous, and from royalty to many other categories of people. And I came back, and then I decided my family were all in Cape Town, so I came to the Cape, and I joined what was then known as Springbok Atlas Safaris. Today it's just known as Springbok Atlas, and it was owned by Tollgate Holdings, which was a listed company on the Johannesburg and London Stock Exchange. And Tollgate Holdings is famous because they actually ran, amongst other things, the bus company here in Cape Town and the greater Cape Town area, City Tramways. So, and they had this tourism division, Springbok Atlas, which was one of the pioneer companies of inbound tourism, or what today are known as DMCs. We had a fantastic team, and I was very fortunate. We had our offices in Cape Town, and I was very lucky because I was in the sales and marketing department, and I did a lot of foreign travel. I went on sales trips, I went to trade fairs overseas. We obviously had more than one person traveling overseas, but I kind of specialized in the UK and Europe, North America, so the US and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South America. So I met an unbelievable number of tour operators, travel agents, and travel journalists.
Your story is so intriguing, and I loved every single minute of it. Are there any initiatives that you look back on, or that you are currently still involved in, that really um, shines a light for you?
Yes, definitely. I think that it's very gracious, because what I did was, in fact, I then came back and I went into what was known as the Conservation Corporation, or CONSCOR, as we called them at that time, which was a very small but elite um, game lodge and game reserve, private game reserve business, now much, much bigger and much expanded into East Africa and all over Southern Africa and elsewhere. But it was really a unbelievable experience of, we don't like to use the word luxury travel. It's very passé. It's not a word we particularly use, but I think what this further taught me was then I wasn't actually based at the lodges and the camps, but I was based in Johannesburg at our sales and marketing office, which I ran. And there again, I met a whole range of people over many years. Again, safari was big. The big safari destination in Africa had always been East Africa. So South Africa, although we had the Kruger National Park and places like that, they were frequented a lot by locals and certain nationalities. But East Africa led the way. So we came up, and slowly we just came up and came up. And we today have these unbelievable lodges, camps, etc., all over Southern Africa. And I think I saw part of that growth. And what I'm very pleased to say, I think, if I may say, I'm not a good accountant, I'm not a good legal person, etc. But I think what I did do, I think if I could say this, and I would like to be modest about it, but I think I did inspire a lot of fellow workers, and because I never neglected, whether it was director or a reservations consultant. And when I traveled to visit all these tour operators overseas, and when I was at home in our offices, I didn't just, I always made a point of interacting with the staff, and they could come to me with the most unusual requests and say, but Lou, these people want this, these people want that, what are we going to do? Or, what we've done, it didn't happen often, but, we've double booked, and, we now can't accommodate them. I think what I did was I embraced the staff, put them on their way, so that they too can be, um, learn that art of hospitality and that art of, quite frankly, what the wonderful world of incoming tourism is. And we have this magnificent Southern Africa, which we take for granted. We forget about all the little corners around, and, people can come here, and it's not just a beach location. It's not just a birding location. It's not just for mountain climbing. We've got we embrace the full picture of Africa, and I think in the nicest possible way. And we do have amazing people working out there in the field. I mean, game rangers, trackers, housekeeping staff, waiting staff in the restaurants. They are just amazing. And how they have educated themselves in the rural areas. It's to be admired. And we also have to say this, that a lot of private enterprise has done a great deal in education and other health and other fields to make it all possible.
Definitely, Lou. Definitely. My last question for you would be, Lou, is there any motivation or positive message that you would like to send out to our South Africans that are still trying to figure out what's next in this current pandemic time that we are?
I think there must always be absolute hope and positive. It's ironic to say that tourism was one of those little portfolios in government in my day, in my early days, that was really a very small little department. In fact, I won't even tell you what the minister, the cabinet minister, what other portfolios he had, because it was so weird. Today, it's all still there. We have the infrastructure, we've got the people, we've got incredible tour guides, incredible people. And the most important thing is we must be positive. And, in spite of all the natural disasters that happen and, the current scenarios on health and all of that, believe you me, I am still absolutely, completely enthusiastic because it really charms me. Every week I hear of someone, even just traveling here from Cape Town, but not just in the Cape, whether they're in Mpumalanga or Limpopo or they're on the coastal areas of the Eastern Cape, whether they're going off to Namibia or they're going up to Botswana, it's all on our doorstep. So you don't have to be just on safari. There's a lot more. And I would just say, go for it. It's a fabulous, wonderful industry, and we're a close band of good friends, and there'll always be someone to help you and guide you.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Lou. That was amazing.